Hi, today we have a wonderful topics. Let's get started.
Goodnight text messages. You are getting the number of some girls, making everything work right, and you've even got a few that you really like. You are talking to more and more of them. And suddenly you decide that you want to text them. You want to text them goodnight text messages. So firstly, you want to make sure that you're on good enough grounds with her emotionally that you can send her a text message before you go to bed. If you're being the guy who's too needy, hold off. If it's something that's in character and not too needy, then by all means, go ahead. Send a girl some goodnight text messages. Here are a few you can bounce around until you start coming up with your own. Best goodnight text messages. 1. Goodnight. Traditional. Easy. The kind of thing you'd send to somebody that you care about, and if you care about the girl, don't get all fancy. Don't try to spike her emotional buying temperature with something that you've spent days thinking about. Don't try to tickle her fancy with anything that you've been saving up. Just wish her good night. In fact, if there's a girl that you think could use a good night on your text message list, wish her good night. 2. Tell her something horrible as a non-sequitor, then wish her good night. This is one of the more advanced ones. You tell her something that you've noticed in life that doesn't really relate to her going to sleep, then wish her good night. Sound confusing? It's not. Here's an example that you can go by. Isn't it weird that people never know the names of 80s one-hit wonders? This is my way of telling you good night, boom. Simple, over and done with. And you can stop worrying about what else to say to her. 3. Funny goodnight text messages. I'm a huge advocate of stupid jokes. They help alleviate certain situations, even if they're atrocious. They can still get a laugh and everybody likes them. How many stupid jokes have you heard being told over the years? How many times have you laughed at them and found some enjoyment deep inside yourself, despite knowing that they're terrible, terrible jokes? Probably a lot, so text her a dumb joke. Then tell her good night. One of my favorites. Why did Mickey break up with Minnie? Because she was fucking goofy. Also an easy way to see if she's into you and tries to start sexually escalating. Here's a sweet text message. 4. Sweet goodnight text messages. I'll never be able to fall asleep if you don't wish me good night. This one. You have to make sure that you're not a guy who she perceives as needy. Otherwise, you're harassing her to text message you back, a situation that would annoy any sane and rational person. So you don't want to be annoying the sane and rational people in your life, so just back off if you are the guy who always is blowing up other people's phones. Don't be that guy, by the way. Women hate it. It comes off as needy. Nothing good comes from being the guy who is blowing up people's phones. 5. A quiz question or an interesting fact. There's a ton of great websites that you can draw interesting facts or trivia from, including omgfacts.com. They list things that you might not have thought of or may be surprised to learn. Guess what? Having knowledge about a certain topic of interest is the same thing as adding value to someone. If you know something that's interesting, pester them about it. For instance, I bet you don't know why pirates wore eye patches on their heads. If they respond positively, tease them. Tell them that you'll be able to tell them more in the morning. It'll infuriate them, as they'll be invested in you all night and be waiting to get an answer in the morning. Pretty cool, right? Creates all sort of investment headed back towards you. Good kinds of investment. 6. Think of how many people are all looking at the same sky right now, and we're two of them. Good night. This one's a bit poetic. If you've got a girl that you feel strongly about her makes you feel poetic, what you want to do is express that instead of holding it inside. Holding it in never makes for an interesting story or a good emotional release. If you want to know what would be the best idea for any course of action, go for the fun story. But these are all just ones that we've come up with. The beautiful thing about social interaction is that every person's will be different. Everyone's will have nuances that other people won't have, so it's the most important to figure out your own goodnight text messages to send to your girls.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.